Hey guys, this is Dave here at Pulp Alley. This is the tabletop skirmish game, adventure game. Very, very cool. Today, I thought it would be cool to take a look at the 6 basic abilities that you could give to your gangs and kind of talk about them a little bit. So the first one that you could select for your gangs is called Armed. And what that means is that they do not suffer the multiple fights penalty for shooting. So let's say this gang was armed here. If they shoot on their own activation, and then if they get shot at during another activation, if they shoot back, they do not suffer the multiple fights penalty whenever they're rolling their shoot dice. That's pretty handy. And what that kind of represents is the idea that you know, they're drilled enough to kind of fire and fall back, and then another character that's ready to shoot is moving forward. That's what that's representing. The idea that group is effective at you know, exchanging fire. Now the next ability is called Dangerous, and it works exactly the same way, except it works for the brawl skill. So that means that group of characters, if they're embroiled in a brawl, you know, they don't suffer the normal multiple fights penalty whenever they're rolling their brawl skill. Very, very cool. Very cool. And again, it just means that they are experienced, they're drilled, they're trained to deal with those sorts of situations. The next one that I have on here is called Disciplined, and that means that gang always counts as being in cover. So if we had a gang over here that we said, well, this gang is disciplined. So if when they're shot at, they always count as being in cover, so they're always going to get that cover save and get to roll that one dice to see if they can keep one of their models on the table. Very cool. Let's see what's next here. The loyal ability. If you give a mob a loyal ability, then they're not removed from play until they get down to one single model left on the table. Normally a gang will leave play once it gets down to 2 models. So a normal gang, you know, if they lose 3 of their models and they get down to just 2 models, those last 2 models simply are removed from the play table because they've lost their combat effectiveness. They've been broken, basically, and they are removed from the table. A loyal gang will remain in play all the way down. Even if they get down to 2 models, they will remain in play. Once they get down to a single model, then they are removed from the table. So that's the difference between a loyal gang and most other gangs. There's the mob ability, and this is the one that I think I'm going to be using next, and that is, it's a gang that only costs 1 point rather than 2 slots, as most gangs do. But that means they also only roll 1 dice for everything. So they are just a mob. They are not particularly effective at anything. They're going to just go around and whenever they are challenged to do something, they get to roll a single dice. They get to ignore a lot of penalties, so that's kind of a nice thing, but most of the time they're only going to roll 1 dice. Last one that's part of the basic abilities is called Sixth Man, and what that means is basically it has a 6th model. So most gangs normally have 5 models. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you have the 6th man ability, that means you get a 6th model added in there. And if you understand the rules of how gangs work, well, of course, that's going to mean that gang has the potential to be more effective, to stay in the fight longer, and yada yada. So that's what you have to do there. I think another cool thing to remember is that gangs can learn from experience. Just like any of your characters, if you want to spend some experience points on them, then you could give them an extra ability. I guess the one that you got to remember is that a mob can never have more than 1 ability. That's part of the mob ability. So they don't get extra stuff. There are also some really cool abilities for other characters like sidekicks and leaders that can help your mobs or help your gangs be more effective in the games as well. So, lots of cool stuff to do with the gangs. I'm getting ready to have a fun game myself and use some gangs in it. So maybe I'll just record some of that and share a snippet for you guys. Let me know if you've been using gangs, what you think about them, and how they compare to allies and followers. I think they're pretty balanced, but let me know. Leave a comment down below. If you're not a subscriber, you ought to be. Get subscribed to our little channel here, and be sure and hit that like button. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.